Hi, Seekers. I'm really excited to bring you our guest tonight. Welcome, Patti Negri. She is the White Witch of Hollywood. She is a psychic medium. Thanks for joining us, Patti.
Thank you so much, Krista. I'm happy to be here. Hello, seekers. I like that you guys are seekers. I've been a seeker my whole life, and now I'm a seeker with the seekers.
Awesome. Well, we're thrilled to have you. You have such an extensive biography. You're a recurring guest on Ghost Adventures, the television show, and been on many others. You're an author of Old World Magic for the Modern World, which sounds amazing. I've got to get a copy of that. And just the list goes on and on. So maybe you could tell us a little bit
when you've been
about.
around a long time, when you're 700 years old, it just keeps adding up, and you like a Hollywood girl from the beginning. Yeah, like decades.
I hear magical bells.
See what happens when you say the right thing.
So tell me, Patti, how did you become a psychic medium? How did you end up as a witch? Tell me about your journey.
Just born this way. I've honestly always tried to do other things. I literally, when I was a little kid, I just knew that those so-called imaginary friends little kids have weren't imaginary. They were real beings. Thing in the closet, under the bed, all those things kids have, but they were real. I would get real information. This is going to happen. That is going to happen. I would like astral travel, tell my mother everything going on to the color of the paint and wallpaper in the house next door. I was always on the medium side, just obsessed with the dead and talking to dead, and not in a morbid way at all. Just like, I want to go talk to grandma. And I literally did my first seance when I was 7 or 8. I just kind of knew what to do, knew how to raise the veil. I just think it's in the blood. Even on the witchy side of things, I would find myself in my little suburban Los Angeles backyard, like stripping rosemary leaves off the bush, knowing if I put rosemary leaves in my mom's wallet, it would give her more money.
Oh,
I just
wow.
knew it. And then you learn years later, you study that, oh yeah, rosemary's abundance. It's just, I've always, again, done other things. I've been in the medical profession. I've run a production company for 20 years, been an actor, as a dancer. I was, again, anything I could think, but I keep coming back here because this is my passion and this is where I'm left. And I mean, not necessarily stuff like, oh, ghosty, whatever, but it's about empowering people.
Yes.
We are these amazing beings. And I'm working with people every day in my one-on-ones. It's like they forget what miracles we are. So that's my gig.
Yeah. And so was there any women in your family, like grandmothers or your mother or aunts, that were witchy as well?
Yeah, though they didn't, again, it was never taught out of me. We didn't have this belief system that, oh, there's something evil here. I think part of it comes from my dad's side because my grandfather was from Turkey, though he was this big atheist psychoanalyst and hung with the Hollywood elite crowd and didn't anything spiritual or religious or mystical was that. But I read his books now. It's like, oh, you believe the same thing. You just use different words. But I think they have almost that gypsy Middle Eastern blood. But on my mom's side, the Scottish, Irish, English side, I would say like so-and-so happened. She goes, oh yeah, grandma would always know when something was going to happen. Oh yeah, grandma's mom always came to the end of the bed. And so it was just like really matter of fact.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just kind of normal and natural.
Yeah. Yeah. No one focused on it. It's just what it was. Yeah.
So today is the fall equinox.
Yes,
Do you do any certain celebrations? Yes. Do you do any certain celebrations
I do. I actually have a small group of women that I work with, kind of like a little coven forming, and we did something last night just like this. Do it. We actually do get together live with correct social distancing, but we did it online last night. And I'm doing something tomorrow night with my vampire side of things, my good vampires, my saber tooth. We're doing a thing at a place that's, again, open in LA because it's outdoor. And it's a celebration. It's the fall equinox when balance is there. It's day and night are exactly the same length. It's kind of like pagan Thanksgiving. It's what are you grateful for, and then releasing, and what are you grateful for the year, and then what is not serving you to let it go, as we go into the dark time, second harvest. So it's beautiful. It's like Thanksgiving. It's a celebration of fall.
Yeah, I agree. It's a beautiful time of year. Yeah. And you mentioned your vampires. Tell us about that.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I could put my fangs on. Yeah, and they're, again, no blood drinking. They're good. About 4 years ago, I guess, I was doing an episode of Ghost Adventures at the museum. I think not my first one there, but and I didn't know who else was there. I didn't know anything. Zach, Blind Floji stuck me in the gypsy wagon. Didn't, and he just said, "Okay, tell me what's going on." I'm always so scared. Like, what if I get nothing? What if I'm not psychic today? What if I get crickets? But it's always, everything is so charged. It's like, okay, this, but I didn't know anybody else was there. But I saw this man in a mirror and somebody on the ground. I saw this other woman, little girl, woman, little girl, woman. I saw something. And that's the time he actually took me into Lady Snake, and it was good witch versus bad witch. But one of the guy on the floor was Father Sebastian. He's a vampire. He's the leader of the Sabretooth clan. And we just became friends. I'm like, this is a sweet guy. And we just became like, and then he offered to fang me. I'm like, I don't know. I don't, my idea, I mean, I'm a witch, I'm all sorts of things, but my idea of vampires isn't positive, and I really only work light. I only work good. And again, I don't have any positive connotations of vampires. So I literally started reading all his books, of which he has. It's like, oh my gosh, it's all positive, it's all good. You don't drink blood. It's basically my witchy stuff with a couple different, you dress slightly different, and you work pay. But it's a beautiful, beautiful philosophy. So I got fanged, and then you're part of the Sabretooth. He does these big balls all over the world, again, pre-COVID. Paris, a castle in Austria. I've been to Dallas, I've been to Vegas, I've been to New Orleans. Big, gorgeous Victorian style balls. Everything is elegant. I mean, you don't do anything without full consent. It's so opposite of so many modern things. And again, there's nothing that doesn't fit with my light philosophy or anything. So anybody look up Father Sebastian, Sebastian with 2 A's, Sabretooth Clan, Black Veils. The events are great. Now he's starting to do, again, virtual events, as everyone is. We just had one last week. And so, yeah, so we're doing a thing tomorrow night, actually live with a small group of people. So, yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
cool. And fangs are fun. Everybody needs a nice pair of fangs because you do feel a little different. It's like acting work when you put on masks, and acting 101, it's like this new freedom. It's
Yeah.
used in psychology and everything. All of a sudden, you got fangs, and they just fit right on your teeth. It's like, it's good.
Awesome. I
So, yeah,
actually listened
I'm a
to
good
your interview
vampire.
with
I'm a
him.
good witch. It's a
There's
new
nothing
world.
dark or evil about it.
Yeah, I mean, everything they do, money goes to anti-bullying charity. When we were at like Vampire Con in Vegas, we took over a hotel for 3 days. Again, just beautiful, sweet, spiritual people. We had the Red Cross come, and we gave blood. So we made all the news, vampires giving blood. We're not drinking blood. There's the big Red Cross band, because that's what you do.
Oh, that is so cool. I love that idea.
Yeah.
I listened to your interview with Father Sebastian on your
Oh, cool.
podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So your podcast is called The Witching Hour, correct?
Yes, it is. It is called The Witching Hour. Yeah, it's really fun because I love bringing, you're going to have to come on. I love bringing guests from all over the world. Like this week, Monsieur Pope is on. He's not real known here in the West, America, Canada, but he's star in France. And I did a TV show with him, I think a year ago. They came here. And he's a comedian, and he's funny, and I like comedians, like how I work with Trevor Moore. And we did this whole show at the Hollywood Roosevelt and here. So the one good thing about being virtual like this is that my guests aren't limited to who could come in the studio, who could get to LA. It's like everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome that we can connect from across this continent and be here
And
together.
beyond.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. Kathleen, one of the members, is just saying, what a dream to dress in the Victorian dresses and be surrounded by people who believe the same as you. That would be
It's
awesome.
amazing. It is amazing. Yeah, we've been like, and the picture like 1,200 people at this elegant ball. Again, it's goth meets Victorian meets a little bit of rock and roll and everything in the middle. And everybody's sending light to the world. 1,200 people in satin and fangs.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. Love
Men
it.
in tailcoats and top hats. It's love.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun just planning what you'd wear to that
Yeah,
event.
it is. It's like, what am I going to wear? What kind of
Yeah.
headpiece? What kind of, tiara? It's
Yeah.
fun.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. So you have had all kinds of adventures with uh, helping people clear their homes. You've been on ghost adventures. You hold seances. Can you tell us some of your most, I don't know, interesting stories that come to mind?
Okay, let's see. Again, it is really fun. I'm all about like empowering people. I think Ghost Adventures is always fun because you never know what you're going into. Believe me, whatever anybody thinks of the show, it's real. They will keep me literally blindfolded, locked in the trunk of a car if they had to. Here's an address. You fly to it, you drive to it. I know nothing. He wants it real. That's why I'm always a little So, but I've got to go to some crazy and amazing places because of that. So that's good. On the clearing side of things, I'll be Hollywood agent's office to somebody's little studio apartment to the largest, most famous house in Los Angeles to the biggest murder house in LA. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I'm getting the ghost of this most famous producer in the world out of the house because he's borrowing. It's like surreal. It's like living in this other, it's like a fantasy meets reality, but then again, coming from light and helping empower people. I think my craziest one, and I've told this a few times, but I was doing a seance because that's my thing since I was 7 years old. And again, I've got to do them all over the world and great. But this one was literally my neighbor. But I was at this house. It was built by Charlie Chaplin for Mary Astor. I live in old 1920s, the first movie star enclave in Hollywood, right under the Hollywood sign. And this
Wow.
house was built by Charlie Chaplin for his girlfriend, Mary Astor, a silent movie film. And they had crazy parties there, crazy party house, which brings in weird spirits. Then the Rolling Stones manager bought it. So the Rolling Stones lived there, the Mamas and Papas, Grandpa, all these famous, crazy, chaotic. And then they moved out. And then the person who invented the real life sex doll moved in. And then they moved out, and then Marilyn Manson was my neighbor for 7 years, moved in, and he would record down in the scary dirt basement. And actually, the house got a little too scary for Marilyn Manson, which is a really high bar, I think. And he moved out, but we were doing a séance there. They were doing a documentary about this house, this crazy haunted Hollywood Hills house. And I'm really good with my seances. Nothing dark is getting in, but in my regular ones that I do with people, but this one you wanted to talk to who was there. And all these young people, which when you're around that 18 to 20, you have so much life force. Anything extra stuff is going to happen. It just is. Once post puberty, before I'm an old adult, just like that's when the poltergeist, that's when the stuff. So this one kid, and we're in this crazy haunted house that had this huge history. And this one kid, he started getting a little disrespectful. I'm trying to keep it cool and we're filming. We had 4 cameras filming, which is rare to have 4, but we did. And he's getting, and I felt this ghost, not demonic, but just cranky ass ghost. Usually they are getting a little weird. And then then it started cool things, like the French doors flew open and everybody's screaming. And I'm like, oh, I got to keep control of this. But the producer side of me is like, wow, that's like special effects. But I never think anything. Wow, French doors flying open to make a statement. And then that happened again. But this kid's getting edgy. And then there was these speakers on the floor, like old school, you put your big speakers on the floor. They started coming on white noise like this. Everybody's screaming. Did it again on these like just focal points. We looked later, it wasn't even plugged in. But anyway, this thing is
Wow.
building. We're using the Ouija board. We're getting all this stuff that had happened in the 20s, kind of scary stuff. This kid says something ridiculous again, very disrespectful. Because I always say, it's okay to be skeptic, try to be open, but you have to be respectful because whether you believe it or not, it's real. He
Yeah.
said something really stupid, and instead of him, my cameraman facing him burst into flames. Spontaneous combustion, just like in Spinal Tap. Like
His
a
camera?
bee at its back, like angel wings of fire flying up, everybody screaming. 2 cameras actually caught him bursting into flames. His camera didn't use the camera. And the other camera, like, focused on the ceiling or the floor or whatever, because everyone's screaming. So all of a sudden, again, cool witch medium Patti becomes medic Patti, which I am too, medical background. I drop and roll. I'm calling in my guardians. I'm calling my words, shutting this down, shutting this down. I don't care what we're filming. No seance here. Nobody bursts into flames on my watch. So I shut it down. But the guy who caught on fire, he's this beautiful filmmaker. He was like, I'm fine. As I'm watching his back blister, I'm fine. Because the shirt burnt off him like it was a synthetic. It was cotton. It should not have went poof like that. But I'm like, he said, no, I'm good. I have a sweater. Take this shirt off. I talked to the ghost. It wasn't demonic. It's just, I said, we're not even going to get rid of you, where I usually would. Just please, we're just trying to get information. So the ghost kind of agreed to be okay. The idiot kid became a choir boy. Really well behaved. Somebody like, so he's not going to be in trouble anymore. So we finished it. Some more weird things did happen. A glass threw across the room. That's the biggest poltergeist. No one was near it and shattered. I'm like, this is wild. But the wildest thing that happened, it turned out coolest thing, is that Laurent, the guy who caught on fire, he goes, look at my back, like 3 weeks later, because I'm like, you have to go to the doctor. This is not good. I looked at his back, and it literally looked like he had got a tattoo of a dragon on his small of his back. He had the open mouth, the big teeth, into the winged head into the shape of a serpent. And that's the exact energy I called in to shut down the seance. I work dragon magic. I work dragon energy. The set crossroads jet is powerful, beautiful energy. I'm dragons everywhere. So it's like he has a tramp stamp of a dragon on the small of his. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And he actually hasn't done it yet, but he was so inspired by it. He wrote a script. He wrote it with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and the Blade series, vampires. So anyway, he wrote this script about this TV psychic, this TV medium, Hollywood medium, who did every TV show kind of about me. But I'm like, who's going to play me? But anyway, then it's doing another TV show, but then it turns into a horror film, and then all hell breaks loose. But I hope they do it. But I sat down with him for like literally 5 hours. And to read the script, I go, oh, you can't say that on camera. He goes, but you said that. I go, I know I said that. That was in a controlled circumstances. You don't want to be one of those cursed horror films, do you? This word, this sound, this chant, whatever we did, will open something up. And that's what happens when people do these horror films and they don't realize that they're doing real magic. So we changed all the words to harmless words, and nobody will know the difference. So I don't know if it'll ever get done, but it's called The Portal if it does.
It's called what? The Portal?
The Portal, like portal, opening a portal.
Yeah.
And that's the working title. But again, he keeps going on to other projects. But I mean, that was pretty cool.
Okay, so there's so many questions. Okay, so when you first said the cameraman caught on fire, I thought you meant his camera, but it was actually him. Just his clothes just caught on fire.
He was like picture a long dining room table with people at a seance table around it. That's what we were. He was standing behind one person, facing the person at the camera across from him. He was behind people. His back burst into flames. All of a sudden, everybody's just screaming. His back burst into flames.
Wow. Okay, so
it wasn't candle. It wasn't torch. It wasn't anything.
So when you go to do a seance like this, do you set some sort of protection ritual for yourself so that you don't have any of these energies attached to you?
Yes, I use, again, being very elemental in my work. I use lots of herbs, lots of oils. I use lots of sigils and symbols. The helm of awe to me is the most protective. It's a Norwegian, it's Icelandic, just breaks up energy. I always wear this in scary places.
What's it called?
Protection.
What's that symbol called?
Oh, helm of Awe, HELM, new word, OFAWE. It's kind of sacred geometry. If anybody could look it up, energy goes in and explodes out in all sides with that little like Neptune, trident on the end. I keep it literally under my welcome mat at my house. It keeps out ghosts and burglars. If you
Oh,
have bad dreams, if your kids have bad dreams, put it under the mattress. It keeps them out. And now you can get these. Yeah, it used to be really hard to find because it's a ruin and people weren't into that. But now with like all the Viking TV shows, and you can get them for $10 online anywhere. They're good and they're super protective. But yeah, I do my protections. I do everything. Oil on the back. This when I'm going out. The ones that I control that I have people come to, I don't let anything dark in at all. It's not. I explain to people if you're coming, whether it's around my dining room table in Hollywood, or I've flown to France, or we're doing Zoom. I've been doing them Zoom like this because spirits use this like a ghost radar. It's just as good as if we're around the table. I set up my wards, my energy, that nothing bad gets in, nothing bad. So you
wow.
get to talk to grandma and the kid who died when you were in school. Thank you, Helen. I love that little typing cross. Yeah, look it up. And you go, wow, I want one. And it doesn't, because it's this Norwegian Icelandic thing. It doesn't interfere with anybody's belief system. It's not, somebody's not going to go, oh, you're wearing a pentagram or an ankh or a cross, or just this cute little 8-sided
Yeah,
compass. Blows things up.
I love it. I love it. Kathleen's asking, how did you find the dragon magic path to be yours? Like, how did you end up working with
I see energy. And again, mine's a very simple one. There's lots of dragon paths. I see energy, and I look at angel people, and I love angels. But angels are up here. They're dextral. Angels can basically do two things, two of the best things: protection and enlightenment, because they're dextral. There's no sinistral moving side. Sinistral, that sin came from, but it doesn't mean sin. It just means shift. But angels, protection and enlightenment, they're the best. They're up here. And then I see the energy between. Then there's the fey realm, the fairy, all those mysticals. They'll bring the laughter and the joy and the music and sparkle into the eyes. But dragon energy, whether you believe it's a fire-breathing beast or the spirit of, it's crossroad energy. It's at change. We're shifting change. You literally, dragons, again, they've been around forever. Chinese dragons, medieval dragons. They often get a bad rap because they're powerful, but they're not negative. It's just an energy. It's crossroads, shift energy. They can fly between heaven and earth. So I teach people the simplest way to create their own little fetish, their own little working. It's called a lot of things and a lot of different things. Since I've been teaching people to use dragon magic, and nothing I do, but to open up and charge their own dragon, it's what we need in this new, less solid. It's not our parents' black and white, right and wrong. Again, they can fly between. One stopped an abusive relationship. This woman was really stuck, and it happens, kids, mine, and in this abusive relationship, and nothing she could do made her husband stop. Gave her a dragon. She charged her dragon. She feeds her dragon. You have to feed them every day. They drink a lot. She her dragon, and he did it again the next day. And she's like, thanks a lot, dragon. But then she realized she hadn't told her dragon she didn't like it. It's not like your spirit guides. It's not like God. You have to tell them what to do. They're your worker bee. I always say, make them your personal assistant. He's never done it again. My most famous working the dragon was actually, it's funny, LA Dodgers. I'm an LA girl. Our team, LA Dodgers, had won like 20 games in a row. And then Sports Illustrated magazine did a special on them and cover, best team ever, blah, blah, blah. And they tanked. They lost like 20 games in a row. And everybody's going, and these are not woo-woo people. These are not people that go to the Seekers Club or see a psychic. They're like, oh, it's the Sports Illustrated curse. There's this curse that whenever they do that, the athlete or the team just tank. So I was called in by the sportscasters, Dodger people, Fred Rogan, Vic the Brick, all these people who would Rodney Peete. And I'm like, oh, so we did my lemon on crossing spill. They have a blue Dodger dragon. They got all the way to the playoffs. I don't know if they're still feeding their dragon. I don't know what they're doing now. But besides making local LA news, which was cool, we actually made ESPN national. It's like, well, I'm empowering people. Like, even if they're going, here's what the crazy people in LA are doing, but it worked. And my
That's
most
cute.
amazing one, again, they're protection magic. So like if you travel, she left her dragon at home. And if you go on a trip, say, okay, you're not going to eat this week. That's okay. She left her dragon at home, say, take care of my husband, my kids, my house, and then take care of me and my girlfriends in Las Vegas. We went to this 2-day concert. We went to the concert in Vegas. They were there the first day. It was all fine. It was all great. They were there the second day. And she grabbed her 2 girlfriends and she said, my dragon said we have to leave right now. And her girlfriend's like, are you crazy? They start making fun of her. It's like, your kids have a dragon. And they're going, we're not leaving. We paid $1 billion for these tickets. Whoever's on stage. She drug them out. And as soon as they got outside, that horrible massacre happened right where they were standing.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, my dragon saved our lives. She goes, my dragon had a voice. So somebody, once you have this charge, again, it's a fetish, it's a servitor, it's an egregore. There's lots of words. It's your create spirit. And she said he had a voice. So your dragon might have an outside voice, like, oh, sounds like they're from Jersey or England, or it might be inside your head, like our intuition. Wow, I should turn left here. But if anybody wants a secret weapon, a dragon. It's in my book. So if anybody doesn't have my book, it's
Oh,
a
that's
30-second
awesome.
figure out how to charge it. So that's how just because seeing the energy, even my whole book, it's not a big pitch. It's stuff because I saw it. Okay. I would read stuff. I've studied my whole life. I'm still in school every day. I will study with everybody, teachers and mentors. I need to do Wicca. I need to learn sort of Peruvian shamanism. I need to do it, and I put it all in. But the way I see energy, it's like, oh, that could be so much easier. Yeah, it's great to meditate for an hour, but I have 30 seconds. I have 30 seconds. But if I use element of water, and that's emotion, and I do this breathing, and I put mind, body, spirit together, that's a whole. I just kind of, and then I just oversimplified everything to make it really easy.
I love
And
it.
I don't have a lot of time, and I want things easy.
Yeah, I know Bridget from our group got your book, and I'm going to order it. I'm really excited to get it, but because I love that. I love that just by it's almost like you can make your own like spirit guide, like your own.
It is. We create spirits every day. I mean, there's the one we know, the rub the Buddha's belly and the lucky cat and the Asian store and my lucky, money tree and this and that. And we all come up with spirit. Spirit is a thing. It's an energy. We create it in like, I have a horrible life. I can't find a lover, a boyfriend, a husband, or like, this is going to be easy and I'm going to be a star. We create the spirit of a thing. Those are just as solid as we are. I mean, we're not solid. This is 7th grade science. We're moving atoms, but to create a spirit, and this is just putting it into a little vessel.
Yeah.
The thing. So we create if you have haunted doll, great. I have a haunted doll. Why not have a dragon assistant?
A dragon assistant. I want a dragon assistant. I'm going to get one too.
Everybody should have one. I can't tell you the people that have these sitting on an altar or by their bed, or of A-listers and politicians and sports people. It's because it's just it's empowering. And again, it's working. It's 1/3 psychology. There's the mind. You talk to your dragon every day. This is what I need. This is what I want. In the body, you're taking action, you're talking, you're making it happen, and the spirit is the magic behind it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Someone's asking the name of your book, so I'm just gonna put it in the scroll here. Old World Magic with a CK, right?
Modern World, and magic has a K on it to show that it's not rabbit out of the hat kind.
Ah, there we go.
And you can get a print or ebook or audiobook. So. Any form.
Awesome. Yeah, Bridget must be Bridget saying it's so easy to read too. So that's awesome.
I spent more time unwriting it than writing it, because when I started 30 whatever years ago, I would buy these big spiritual books or occult books, and I'd look at them and they'd be intimidating, and I'd stick them on the shelf where they look good. And then I'd buy a simple book. I'd buy something like by Scott Cunningham. It's just simple, easy to read, and I could devour it, and I would devour it. So once I wrote my book, I looked at it, I go, oh, too many words. I spent more time getting rid of it. Just simplicity, easy. And we live in a world where we want things fast. So yeah. So
and we're also
thank
busy.
you for whoever said that. And that's why it's doing really well, because we don't need to complicate things.
It's practical magic,
we
right?
tend to complicate things all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's practical magic, right?
It's practical magic, pure practical magic.
I love that.
Like
I
what
love
to do
that.
in your basket, like carve your soap, and now you're doing a money bath. You throw a little salt on the shower. Your 2-minute shower is this. Put some salt in your toilet. You're going to release your. I mean, silly little things. Practical magic.
Yeah. I love it. And it's a lot of the members are saying that one member saying she had a dragon when she was a child. Maybe she needs to find him again. Another person's got a dragon tattoo. And I've always been drawn to dragons too. Yeah.
Dragon magic, crossroads energy. They can
That's really
fly. Oh, look at my phone's being noisy. Oh well, I had everything turned off. There's the
It's
spirits.
okay. No worries. No
What
worries.
happened? That's my husband's voice talking about his band on the phone.
Okay. So
Every time I
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. But I have a question. So a lot of people have a bad feeling about Ouija boards. Now, I have never actually used one myself. For as long as I can remember, people said stay away from Ouija boards. What's your view of those?
I have safely used Ouija boards since I was about 8.
Yeah.
I think, not that I'm for guns, I'm not. I think they're like a gun. You have to know how to use them.
Right.
I don't think they should be sold in toy stores.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be an adult to buy them. I think they should have a completely opposite set of directions. Not this is a toy. This is not a toy. This is what, and then I think they're fine. But honestly, I don't, if somebody's willing to use a pendulum, same thing. If somebody's using dowsing rods, tarot cards, oracle cards, they're all just a tool to open the veil and see through.
Yeah.
So again, be very careful with the Ouija board. I never, ever had an issue. You're very specific of who you allow in. Did I freeze? I froze. Am I frozen?
We can still hear you. It's okay.
You're of who you allow in. You don't open your front door and allow anybody to come in, a crazy person. So you're just very specific. I'm setting up my boundaries. Whether you work with your angels, you set up your angels. Whether you work with Christ light, you set that up. Whether you work with dragons, I'll call in everybody and everything. I'll Buddha in that corner, Christ in that corner, my dragon in that corner. We are here. And then you're very specific. Make sure you open it up and you close it up and you do protection techniques. And that's great. I only had one bad experience, and it was my fault because I didn't follow that. I got lazy. I was with somebody who we did this, and she's like, oh, I want to talk to my friend, because she talked to her friend. It was like picking up the phone, the information we got. And I was like, okay, nobody's here yet. We were actually filming, and I go, we could do this. And I didn't set my word. And we were getting ready to go to a kind of a dark place because it was kind of a murder seance thing we were doing, filming. So I was calling in darker spirits I would never do to a regular seance. All of a sudden, I got thrown up against the back of my dining room chair, and I heard this crack. I was standing behind it because we weren't even sitting down. It was just like, oh, let's do this. And I heard this crack, 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 and I'm starting falling to the floor. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, no. And I always say I'm okay. I could literally have my head cut off. I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. But I was like, I heard it, and I thought I had broke my ribs, but I actually had ripped all the no one touched me, ripped all the cartilage off my floating ribs. And I'm like, perfect timing, because I'm here, I'm with somebody else who knows what they're doing. Clear the house. Don't be stupid again. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, well, that makes so much sense to me, because that's what I always thought about, Ouija boards, that it's just another type of tool to contact, but you just have
it's how you use it. It's how you use it. But it's so funny, because they get a bad rap. But if you believe that they have the bad rap and you don't, then don't use them. If there's fear there, don't use them.
Right.
Working any spirit world, like even if you're going on a paranormal investigation with Dragon or whoever, fear is the last thing you need to bring. Have your belief system. Have who are you going to call if you get scared, whatever that is, and know that this is our realm of existence. I firmly believe they have to play by our rules. They don't have power over us unless we give it to them, but we usually give it to them because of fear or the anger, or unless you have a severe addiction problem, that's a different story, or a severe mental imbalance. This is our room. When you see people get all possessed, they've somehow allowed that to happen, usually just out of not knowing better.
Wow.
And that fear and all that. So,
yeah,
it's good.
Awesome. So I was at a historic house on the just 2 days yesterday, and we were touring this old barn, and it's like from turn of the century, like late 1800s, early 1900s, and it's a tourist site now. You can go visit and hear the history. It's a very interesting place. But when I was in this barn, and I've never done a paranormal investigation, but I was, one of our members actually, when she was at this barn, she caught an image of a ghost, and so it was pretty fascinating. So I was taking all kinds of pictures to see what would show up. Nothing showed up in my photos, but I was in one area, and all of a sudden I felt this coldness across the back of my shoulders, like it was like very intense. And I thought, I just, took notice, and I'm like taking pictures, trying to see if I could catch anything. But I wonder, what would you recommend someone doing? Like, I wasn't afraid, I wasn't nervous at all, but I would love to know what that energy was. What was it? How could I find that out?
Well, it was probably just a spirit. Again, probably a spirit floating through. The coldness is that's what they can do. It's kind of, there's things it could be. There's ghosts, which are, they were people and now they're dead. Usually they're not stuck. They're usually hang out because they can. And again, I'll go to a fun Hollywood old movie star. They're hanging out because they like to, like the American Legion or the Hollywood. It's not going to the insane asylum or the prison and some ghosts are held down, like the Black Dahlia house. That bad ghost is holding down some good ghosts. But there's the ghosties. There is the ones that aren't crossed over, and those are the ones that are like the shades, and they're the ones, usually was it maybe a violent death, or they didn't know they're dead yet, and that's the ones you go to the light, Caroline, and it works. We've actually done that on the show before. Nothing you're ever going to see on TV. It doesn't fit the style of the show, but where we go to the light, you see it, you feel it, you sense it. So there's that. There's the residual haunting, and that's the one, like in the bed and breakfast, where the lady in white who died on her wedding day goes by every day. That poor ghost doesn't have to go at midnight, and that's more like a video. That's literally something so strong happened and it ripped it in. Those ghosts won't interact with you. It's just like watching a video. That's a residual haunting. And then there's the everything else realm. Those are things that were never human, and that's getting into the angelic realm, demonic realm, elemental realms, fairies, things, all the cryptids. That's the everything else that weren't human, but they live on the other side of the veil.
Oh, wow. One member saying she feels cold spirits all the time. So do you have any recommendations? When you feel that, do you just say hello, or?
Yes. Okay. Use your intuition. I believe everybody has good intuition. If it feels bad, other than just like, wow, I'm not used to this, it's a little surprising, that's okay. But if it feels bad, go get out. You don't want to even, just in whatever you believe, in the name of God, in the name of my angels, in the name of my dragons, in the name of my cat, you are not welcome here. This is my body. This is my home. This is my space. I command you to leave. Don't use anger. Don't use fear. That will feed negative. Just be like very parental, or like a teacher. You can't come here. And 99.9 the thing. But if it doesn't feel bad, if it feels, just talk to it. Just like, hi, who are you? Are you a ghost? Or were you a living? Are you male? Are you female? And then again, you might hear something on the outside voice, just like with the dragons, you might hear something inside. It takes a little bit of practice, but sometimes they will say, show me a sign. Again, make the candle dance. You can get somebody to make the candle dance. You could get, again, whether you have a ghost meter or a flashlight that's almost turned off, get them to turn it off. You have a dollar app on your phone. There's some amazing dollar apps. I've gotten as much information as you get a $500 Ovilus, giving me the news 3 hours before the news happens. So you just have to talk to it and know you're always in control.
One of the members is asking, is cold a female?
I didn't hear that. What?
Sorry, one of the members is asking, if it's a cold sensation, does that mean it's a female? Does that make a difference?
Not necessarily. No, cold is easier for them to do. Rarely do you get warm. I mean, they don't have body heat. They're an energy source. Right. So the goosebumps, always, that's a confirmation. Everybody, ooh, goosebumps. Ooh, it's cold. Cold doesn't mean bad. And remember, when you're looking at them, it's not your direct vision. It's almost always your peripheral vision, because they're on a different realm. So that's why, ooh, you see the orbs floating by your side vision, or dark, it might be a dark shadow and it might be a white orb. But again, white light doesn't mean good and dark doesn't mean bad. That's just the different ways they're able to manifest themselves.
Okay. So when you're doing your work as a psychic medium, how do your messages come through? Do you hear things?
Yeah, all of the above. I don't
Mhm.
kind of separate anything. I kind of just like basically see, why are you coming here? Are you looking for guidance for your life? Path, career, love, all those normal things that people see, blocks, why this always happens to you. I will go in, sometimes I'll go into past life, sometimes I'll just go, ooh, this happened to you at 7, didn't it? Something happened to you at 7 and you closed off right here, and this is where you carry the weight of the world, and this is why. Let's go talk to that 7-year-old. If they want to talk, mediumship comes in if they want to talk to grandma or whatever, or sometimes I am looking at whatever and it's grandma that will tell them this is what happened to her at 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then the witchy part comes in because it's like, okay, let's shift that. You just need to cut those cords right there. So let's do a floating candle, because that's the water, the Abzul, the waters of forgetfulness, and you will feel those little cords. We all have little cords. There's beautiful ones. There's silk cords and leather straps and lacy, and there's barbed wire cords, and there's barbed wire covered with silk. Every relationship in our life, and some of those need to be let go of and cut and
Mm-hmm.
strengthened.
Okay, interesting. Another question: do male and female spirits come on different sides?
Yeah, they move just like people.
Yeah.
I've heard some people say, and I don't completely agree in my experience, but their truth might be that, because there's a billion truths, that like mother's side of spirit stand on one side and father's side of your stand on the other side. But what I experience, and I test this practically daily, is like, okay, your mom is standing on your right. She says she always stands on your right. And the person will go, yeah, she always sat at my right at the kitchen table every day, every night. Yeah, she sat at the right. My dead husband always slept on the left. We have sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like so that's more my experience with it. But again, somebody else's truth could be different.
Right. Right. And do you see symbols, like when you're getting a message? Do you see symbols, or is it just very clear? I know some
So
people use like.
sometimes you have to decipher a little. It
Okay.
depends on how the spirit can talk too. If they don't speak English, which
Mm.
is fine, to try to speak French or Arab or animals. They don't speak in words. It'll be emotions, or it will be visual, like pictures. Sometimes almost like they'll show you, like almost like it's a scrapbook, it's an album, and I'm seeing this.
Ah,
Sometimes you have to kind of decipher things. So it's like,
right.
there is something large and red. I can't make it out, but your grandpa's jumping up and down. It's large and red. And they'll go, oh, yeah, he had a big red tractor.
Ah,
Sometimes you have to help, and sometimes, sometimes there's some deciphering, and sometimes it's clear as day.
okay. Interesting. Interesting. So this time of year, as we move towards Halloween and Samhain, and it's the thinning of the veil. Do you see any difference with the amount of spirits that show up for you this time of year?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We are getting into the active time, definitely.
Okay.
And I usually do beautiful rituals at Samhain. Besides, you do lots of seances because, again, everybody can talk to everybody. But Samhain in the pagan, it's the time of celebrating the dead. It's crossing over, just like Day of the Dead in Mexico tradition. I'll do a thing often where there's like an altar that's 50 feet long, and everybody's bringing their ancestors, and we're gathering around and we're celebrating the dead and the crossing over those who haven't yet. And whether you're just at your dining room table and like, let's celebrate grandpa or whatever that was. But the veil is definitely thinner. So more and more stuff happens. I get more and more calls of people activity at their house, whether good, bad, or indifferent. This is happening. My dog's acting weird. My cat's acting weird. The pictures keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the time that it's the thinnest. It's also thin at May Day, Beltane.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. That's the fairies holding up the veil versus the spirits. That's when the
Oh.
crazy stuff, because the fairies will. It's like they're going to steal your earrings again or your keys, and yeah.
That's so interesting. I've never heard that before. The
Yeah.
veil was thin in the spring
It's
as
not
well.
quite as much as it is at Samhain, Halloween. That is
Yeah.
why people dress up at Halloween. For people who don't know, that the reason you put on costumes and you put jack-o'-lanterns in front of your house, the pumpkins, which used to be turnips, is because in ancient Europe, they knew that the veil was thin, and they put the jack-o'-lantern to scare away the bad ghosts. You would wear funny masks and costumes to scare away the bad ghosts. So that's why we still do Halloween and
Oh,
giving things. It all ties together, but it's actually a time for celebration.
okay, awesome. I've got some questions here. Let me just look. Um, Seems like every time I look at the sky this summer, I see rainbows, even when other people don't. And she sees them from her peripheral vision. Now that you say that, it's always from kind of the corner of her eye.
Then you're seeing the rainbows. I mean,
Yeah.
every color is out there. So you just probably are really sensorial, very sensitive in your sight. I mean, probably many people listening are people who go for a spiritual path of some sort, usually are very intuitive themselves. You are also very sensitive, sensorial, very affected by color, smell, taste, all the 5 and 6 senses. So if somebody's seeing the rainbows, you probably have a lot of fairy magic. You might have a lot of, unicorn magic, all these beautiful mystical beasts. Again, whether you believe they're this real thing, are out there. So you're probably really cool. I would love to see rainbows all the time.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? Another question. What about people, not just loved ones, friends or acquaintances, loved ones, visiting in dreams?
Oh, dreams. Yeah, dreams. That's one of in my book. Again, I talk about dream magic because, again, in my work, I'm very left brain, right brain. Your left reasoning, rational, logical brain, which is great for living our life and going to work and paying, and the right, which is your spiritual, creative, intuitive, artist side. You have to dance between the two. You can't have a spiritual thought, Brahma's behind me, or I'm seeing rainbows, and then logicalize it. You just shut it down. Like
Right.
in training to be a medium, you have to learn to you have to be childlike, step into. In witchcraft, across the broom. In this world, anything can happen. Gravity doesn't matter. Magic exists, and you have to go there. You can't let it shut down. So if something happens, just say yes. Just say yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And if you want to analyze it, wait 2 hours. Was that really grandma, or was that just somebody opened the window or indigestion? But do it later, and then your gifts will get better in the separation. But dream time, your left brain is quiet. So I do a thing, I call it dream school. It's in my book. Put a glass of water by the side of your bed, preferably a glass and open. Now, don't drink water by your bed. How many of you drink water by your bed? And if it's not sealed, how bad does it taste? Is yours sealed or open?
Open.
How bad does it taste in the morning?
I think my mouth tastes so bad from morning breath that I don't even notice.
Yeah, it don't. Put your drinking water further away and seal it. Either put a plate on the glass or a sealed bottle, like a water bottle, because it collects everything: energy, spirits, emotions, everything.
Okay, yeah.
It's a conduit. So keep your drinking water further away. But your dream, and actually you could have, if anybody has insomnia, help you sleep. But for dream school, I call dream school, put a glass of water and charge it. It's a conduit. And just say, I want to talk to my spirit guides. I want to talk to my deceased loved ones. Or what is the meaning of life? Or the mundane. What outfit should I wear tomorrow? Whatever that is, what you're doing is you are asking the universe, God, you are giving permission for them to download you while you're asleep and that chatty left brain isn't in the way. So just say, okay, show me what I need to know. Go to sleep like normal. You may or may not notice dreams and things at first. Sometimes it isn't dreams. Sometimes it's just downloads. People thought, ooh, downloads. I just kind of know this now. Go to sleep like normal. If you have a set time, a really good thing to do, if you have a set time you get up, or if you don't have a set time, set your alarm for 10 minutes before. Said, like, I get up at 7, at 10 to 7, set your alarm. And that first alarm goes off. Oh, I have to get up. Oh, no, I don't have to get up. And hit the snooze button and ask. Just go, okay, give me clarity, focus, and direction for today. Go back to sleep because you're still in a different brainwave state. And then when your real alarm goes off in 10 minutes, guess what? You'll have more clarity, focus, and direction or whatever. So before you get out of bed, even before you toss out that water or water a plant with it, because now it's like fertilized, just commit 2 minutes to journaling, just 2 minutes. Like if you had a dream, write it down. If you don't remember your dreams, your thoughts, your emotions, don't censor yourself at all. Just write anything. I don't know what to write. This is stupid. Patty's stupid. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Here's my shopping list. Write anything, and you will be surprised what starts to come out of you. Some people write away. A lot of people learn to automatic write that way. Again, then you set your intention for the day, toss out the water, and go on. Great way to develop your psychic ability, intuitive, and while you're sick.
Okay, so just have a glass of water beside your bed, and before you go to sleep, you just are kind of like putting the intention into the water that whatever you're looking for, if you wanted to connect with your spirit guide, or if you wanted to have clarity on a certain issue, you just, whatever you're looking for, you just set that intention.
Because we are these, again, when we started this out, we are these amazing beings. We have everything. I love tools. I'm a girl shows up with 2 big Mary Poppins baskets of herbs and oils and chimes and bells and things, but we don't need anything. We were given all things that work, all the elements. So it's in us. It got cut out of us as modern world, ancient man.
Yeah, I love getting back to the old ways and realizing how valuable they were. Let's see. Do you ever see spirits in the front of your eyes? She says. I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Do they have feet?
I didn't hear this. I heard because you got just really quiet. In the front of your eyes, if I've got the veil lifted, or if somebody has got to do they have feet? Yeah. They sometimes have feet. They sometimes don't have feet. But when I'm doing like past life and stuff, I have people start at their feet and work up. Yeah, are you wearing sandals? Are you wearing space boots? What are you doing? Sometimes they float. Oftentimes spirits are see-through. Sometimes they're solid. Sometimes you see them on the outside. Sometimes you see them in your head. Often you'll see them the age they died. Like if grandma liked getting old, and you'll see her as grandma. But if grandma hated getting old, you'll see her in her 1950s beehive looking all hot and 37. They have the option.
Yeah, I love that, because Kathleen, I believe, she sees spirit, and for her, they never have feet. They kind of glide without feet. So that's
interesting. I mean, they can fly. They don't need to necessarily walk, but I wonder why they don't have feet.
Interesting, eh? Yeah.
I don't think it's bad or it's good, but it's as heck is interesting.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe some foot attachment from some past life, or maybe somebody cut off your feet 3 lifetimes ago, so now nobody gets feet. I don't know.
Another question. Out of my peripheral vision lately, I've been seeing bright flashes of light. What would that be?
That could be spirit. That could be a lot of fae. The bright flashes of light could often be the fairy realm. Woo, what was that? Woo, what was that? Or just spirit in general, or who knows? All those other things out there. I mean, I'm not a big extraterrestrial person, but I'm working a case now with some people. And I think I did talk to them as a kid, but I've never just gone there because there's only so many worlds you can get into. I was like, who knows? Again, off-worlders, again, things on the other realm. So again, start trusting yourself. What did that feel like? Did it feel like this light, magical elemental energy? Maybe it's a tree spirit. Maybe it's a fae. Maybe it's off the crystal. I mean, our rocks, our crystals all have spirits. So sometimes they can show themselves.
Yeah. And I think so many of us, we've been taught to use our rational brain so much that we kind of lose touch with that side of us that is more connected to.
Dance between, you guys. Dancing is fun. Dance between.
Yeah. Another question. Is it okay to read your own card several times a week?
That's up to you, is it? You decide. I don't read my own cards. I'd rather just go in and either meditate or just but I know people who read their own cards every day. You decide. if it becomes crutchy and you're not going to do anything unless the cards say so, that's not that good for you. You don't want to give your power away, even to your own tarot read or to anybody else's tarot read. If it helps you and you can stay out of your own way, I think that I'm just going to overly influence, because I don't necessarily anymore read the cards by the book. Oh, King of Pentacles mean this. I mean, I have to, and no, today it means this. But I'm so close to myself, I'd probably rather have somebody else who's really good read me for the stuff that I can't get through my own meditation. But yeah, I don't think it's bad unless it is bad for you, and only you can.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, because there's all these like rules that, you know, are out there. Like you cannot buy your own tarot cards and, you know, things like that. But I don't follow any of that. Do you?
No, it's like rules. It's control. Some way ever made by people to control other people. Some are just made to control ourselves because we like to be told what to do and what you don't do. But again, on a spiritual path, not even a witchy path, spiritual path, your best thing to develop is your own sense of virtue, integrity, moral code, not morality like she does this or he does that, but that moral code, knowing right from wrong. And don't get into a mystical, magical world if you don't. Then you should follow a yes, no, right, wrong belief system if you honestly don't know the difference, because that's where you get into trouble. But rules, there's guidelines, yes. There is some rules of the universe and rules of nature and basic looking into the Akashic records, but they have nothing to do with buying your own tarot cards.
Right, exactly. Another question: should I be worried if I see shadows?
No, but feel them out. I mean, shadows are everywhere. Spirits are everywhere. It could be your deceased cat. You know, it could be just wandering through. Again, see shadows and go, hey. Usually they're just going through, but if again feels okay, say hey. If it doesn't feel okay, get out. That's it. You know, keep your spaces clear. Keep your spaces clean.
Yeah,
it's your house energetically.
Do you sage or smudge on a daily basis, or how often do you cleanse your space?
I keep my house really worded. I'm not a big sage girl.
No.
I love it, but my thing with sage, people misuse it a little bit. Sage is great. It gets rid of dark spirits. It gets a deep cleansing, but sage is harsh. It gets rid of everything. It gets rid of the good and the bad. And if you sage too much, or if you just sage, you kind of go, wow, the house feels good, but then it came back. It's so cleansing. It almost creates a vacuum. So it's like dusting your house and then leaving the doors and windows open in a sandstorm. So if you do make sure you do counterclockwise, everything you're getting rid of counterclockwise, you're going through sage. I use Palo Santo more than sage because it gets rid of the bad, but not the good. But again, sometimes you need sage. I will use, but go counterclockwise. I'm getting rid of everything. And then go a second time. Now you're going clockwise. Then bring in a sweet incense, an angelic, frankincense, myrrh, mica, something, sandalwood, and go clockwise and fill the space back up. You've saged it. Now put love back in, abundance, happiness, health, laughter. And then you're not creating this vacuum that the house feels so good, but it feels icky again.
That's really good advice.
Bad stuff to get back in.
Yeah, that's great advice, because I think sometimes people forget that once they cleanse the space, they need to set the intention for the space.
Your intention. I go room to room. If I'm cleansing on my counterclockwise, it'll be the sage or Palo Santo and herbs and oils and banging drums and bells and get out. And then I go through, and I'm very specific at the front door. Who is allowed in my front door? Only people invited in, people with good intent, people with respect for me, my home. What comes in that window? Light, sunshine, fresh air, inspiration. What do you want in your bedroom? Great sleep, great intimacy, room by room by room. I will add colors. I will add scents. I will add deity if need be. This picture now, you remind me of this. And all of a sudden it's all filled up, and every room will feel like, the relaxation you want in the bedroom, or the inspiration you want in that room.
Yeah.
Fill it up.
I love that. Well, you have been so wonderful to share all this wisdom with us tonight. I guess it's this afternoon for you, but I want to thank you so much for joining us. That was really wonderful.
Thank you. You're a beautiful host. My pleasure. Thank you, seekers.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care, Patti, and hopefully we'll talk to you sometime soon.
I would love it. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Patti. Bye-bye.